This video is proudly sponsored by Gamersgate. Download games anytime, anywhere. Visit Gamersgate.com.
Hello everyone and welcome to Elder Geek's Elder Speak. My name is Randy Yasenchak. I'm the editor of ElderGeek.com, and you probably all know me as the voiceover guy for our video reviews here on our YouTube channel. Welcome to the show. This is our new half-hour show that's going to be appearing, Monday through Friday for people to enjoy during lunch breaks, commutes into work, etc., etc. The way I'm going to be breaking down the show is, first I'm going to be getting into the game that I'm playing for the day, then I'm going to be doing news, and then following up with some user feedback. But since this is a first-time show, I'm actually going to be changing up that format, so I suppose bear with me tomorrow when the format possibly has changed a little bit. Just want to kind of give everybody a heads up that this is actually an unscripted show as opposed to, say, our video reviews or Get Off My Lawn, where that's actually a very scripted experience. We write out our scripts, we have an editor look it over, then I do the voiceovers, and then the video editor actually puts it all together. Sometimes it's all one guy, sometimes it's multiple guys. So here you go. This is our first unscripted video experience that you'll be experiencing from us. The hot topic that I actually wanted to touch on this week, I was kind of hoping would die down, but the PR debacle surrounding Mass Effect 3 doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. So, towards the end of this show, I'll be chiming in my 2 cents on the whole issue. Hopefully I won't be treading on similar ground, but there are so many people that are talking about this right now. It's almost certain that I'm going to say something that has already been said. But in case you aren't aware of it, hopefully you'll be caught up to speed by the end of it. Right now, the game that you're actually watching me play in the background is Confrontation. It's a new tactical RPG from Cyanide, and it's going to be published by Focus Home Interactive. It's a top-down dungeon crawly type experience. I haven't gotten too far into it. What you're actually seeing are the first 2 levels or so in the game. I can say that the game is incredibly hard. And there's a pretty steep learning curve. I will say that. I'm playing it on normal, and I have to say that I'm getting my ass handed to me. Not that I mind that at all, it's just that that's exactly what it is. It's like I said, it's a top-down dungeon crawler, and for the most part, it seems pretty satisfying. It's got decent graphics. I wish it could have a little bit better graphics. Not quite sure what the price point is that they're going to be selling this for. The storyline seems like there's a lot going on, but at the same time, there is so much going on, I don't have any clue what's going on. So I feel like I've been tossed into a world where there's already wars and races and stuff that are just constantly clashing with one another, and I'm waking up in the middle of the din of battle. So hopefully within the next level or so, I'm going to understand what the shit's going on. But if I don't, I'll let you know in the video review. That's it. I really don't want to go too deep into it. Like I said, there's a video review, there's a video preview coming for it soon, so sit tight. Hopefully you'll be seeing some more footage from that soon. Right now I actually want to go into some user feedback that I actually got from the initial, the seed video, I suppose that we could call it, announcing that Elder Speak is going to be coming to our YouTube channel. And I'm going to go down them according to however the heck I want to do them. First things first is from Korn. Now, Korn's actually one of our older members on ElderGeek.com. I don't mean in age, but he's been reading ElderGeek.com since probably 2009 when we launched. So thank you, Korn, honestly, for being a long time member, and I really appreciate your feedback on all the stuff that we do. He goes on to write, "The articles that go into the personal side of gaming are always my favorite, do's and don'ts of gamers in relationships. And I know every gamer has a story that makes them the gamer they are today. Why not do a piece that looks less at the games that influenced them and more at the experiences that led them to geekdom?" I think it's a great question, and I think it's a great idea. And coincidentally, I'm working on a video project that is in that same thread. It's not the exact idea, but it is a more personal side to the geeky side of life that's not necessarily focused on video games. I can say, personally, I guess my short story is my father actually kind of got me into being a geek. I don't think he ever meant me to be a geek, but it's his fault, so I blame him. If he's listening to this, you did it, Dad. Nah. Now, when we were growing up, arcades were all the rave. We had an Atari 2600. Later on, I purchased my own NES with my brother. We split it by saving up allowances and money that we earned from helping my grandfather. But arcades were just awesome back then, and I miss arcades now. But my dad would always take us to the arcades whenever we would go to the mall, because I'm sure my mother and my sisters would go off shopping for something. Or my mother would just need to go to the mall, and we would go along because we needed to. So my father would take us to the arcades, and I was always very, very short. All the way up until like 8th grade, I was like one of the shortest kids in class. So, because I was so short, my dad would always help out with playing arcades. So if I couldn't reach the arcade sticks, he would actually lift me up if we couldn't find the bench or anything like that. And while playing pole position, I actually could not reach the pedals, so he would work the pedals, I would work the steering wheel. But those are video game references, I suppose. In terms of other things, on weekends, at the time, we actually didn't own a VCR. We didn't own a VCR until later on in the 80s, I suppose. But he would rent on the weekends, he would rent a VCR, and then he would rent movies to go along with them. So he would rent them in series. So one series we would go through the Star Wars series. So one weekend we would watch Star Wars, and the next weekend we would watch Empire, and the following weekend we would watch Jedi. And or it would be something different. We would do Star Trek movies, or failing that, we would do the Superman movies. So that kind of thing really kind of got me into geekdom. I think that was really it. Star Wars was kind of a cultural phenomenon at the time as well. Back in like '83, everybody had Ewok stuff. As much as everybody hates the Ewoks now, when we were kids, they were fantastic. So I guess that's really what kind of got me into geekdom. I was a gigantic Star Wars geek when I was a kid, and it's my dad's fault. Skylon wants to hear my opinions on the AC3 reveal. I can say, Skylon, that I called it. If you actually look back in the older postings in ElderGeek.com, I wrote an article called The Etymology of Video Game Characters, and it broke down the meanings of video game character names, and I focused almost entirely on Assassin's Creed 1 and 2. And I actually wrote in the article, I said, I would personally like to see the next character set in Chile or in the United States as a Native American, up against corrupt settlers. So I called it. I got the name wrong. I said that his name would be Antonango, and I guess his name is something different now. I forget right now off the top of my head. But I'm still betting that the name Antonango appears somewhere in Assassin's Creed 3. So if that happens, I'm gonna totally say I called it. And but for now, I've mostly called it. As far as how I feel about it, I'm actually quite excited about Assassin's Creed 3. I was very excited about Assassin's Creed 2 because I was a huge Assassin's Creed fan. I wasn't so excited for Brotherhood because it released too quickly for me after Assassin's Creed 2, but I was pleasantly surprised by Brotherhood. And then Revelations, again, it was too much too quick. I wasn't expecting much of Revelations, and I think I got even less than what I was expecting, so I was kind of disappointed with Revelations. But that being said, I am as excited for Assassin's Creed 3 as I was for Assassin's Creed 2, if that makes sense. I was over Ezio by the time I was done with Brotherhood. I could have done without him. And so I'm very excited for a new Assassin's Creed character, and with the potential of doing co-op, I'm assuming that it's going to be Desmond and his father doing co-op Animus sessions together, or something. It's got to be something along those lines. That's my guess. That was really funny, writes, will there be more Get Off My Lawn? Yes, of course. They're just a very hard series to produce. It's not as simple as just writing an article. First I have to write it, and then I have a few editors that look it over, and then after I have the editors look it over, I've got to actually scour and find the footage that I need. Or in the case of the GTA 4 video, I actually had to create all that video content. So I played through GTA 4 as quickly as I could and recorded almost every second of my playthrough, or at least every second that I was in a storyline plot. And I just had gobs of GTA 4 information on my hard drive for a long time. So are there more on the way? Definitely. I've got a couple of really good ideas, but it's just a matter of time. I love making Get Off My Lawn, but between writing it and then editing it and then capturing the footage and then putting it together, and then I've got to animate it, even though he's only wiggling his little hands and moving his mouth. It's still a painstaking process. I really love that series, and I'm kind of excited about my next one, but please just have patience with me. I swear I'm going to make more Get Off My Lawns. Benjamin Andrew 123 writes, what's my favorite RPG series? As I was growing up, my favorite RPG series was Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy, and then after that it was I switched over to the Elder Scrolls series. I don't know, Final Fantasy after 9 has been kind of meh for me. I'm not saying that they've been bad games, I'm just saying that they haven't lived up to the greatness of 1 through 9. They're not terrible, but they could just be so much better. Given their lineage, they should be so much better. Transported Film writes, an appropriate question would be, what is the first game I ever played or completed? And what's my favorite game ever? I don't have a favorite game ever. I've got a pile of games that I kind of always go back to. The first game I ever played has got to be either Pac-Man or Frogger. I can remember playing those I remember playing them very clearly. Or it could have even been Pitfall. But it has been either on the arcade or on the 2600. And my guess is it's either Pac-Man or Frogger, just because they are a basic understanding. It's take your person and avoid the ghosts, take your frog and avoid the cars. So, easy peasy. It's got to be one of those two. What was the first game I ever completed? Again, back in the 2600 and arcade days, a lot of those games weren't made for completing. There was just high scores, but I can say, and if my brother ever listens to this, I can say that I kicked a whole lot of ass on Defender. And actually, I had a chance to play Defender again at the most recent MagFest, and I sucked out loud at it. I could barely save any of the humans. But I used to be very good at Defender. But if you're asking very literally, like, first game I probably completed, probably Super Mario Brothers 2. I think that's probably the first one I can remember watching the credits really kind of scroll on it. So there you go, Mario 2. Sparta DVL King 3 writes, are you guys still playing Skyrim? Did you finish all the quests? And just wondering how many hours you've clocked playing in the game. Yes, I'm still playing the game, and as everybody that I know that actually owns the game is still playing the game, they still dabble with it. Mods will forever make this a game that will be continually played until The Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, I'm sure. Did I finish all the quests? I finished all the quests that I could. There are a few quests in the game that glitched out, like the investigation quest. Like, it says that it's still active in my inventory because I have the Necromancer necklace still within my possession, and I can't get rid of it. So the only way for me to get it out of my inventory was to use a console command to boot it out. But as far as I know, I actually finished all the quests. And how many hours? The last time I actually played the game was probably for the non-violent Skyrim playthrough. That playthrough where I only killed 2 people. By the end of that, I think I had 300 hours in the game. So I'm giving Skyrim a break. I'm not touching it for a little while just because I have so much work that I need to do for Elder Geek and other places as well.
However,
how do I decide which games to review? Everybody kind of comes, everybody on the staff, I'm not the only person on eldergeek.com. I want that to kind of be clear. Just because I'm the voiceover guy doesn't mean I'm the guy that wrote the game or played the game or anything like that. I might just be the voiceover guy, but there are many videos where I play right and then do the video review all on my own. But how do we decide which games we review? Everybody has a personal preference, and we look at upcoming games that are coming down the pipe, or we speak to people who know about games that are coming out, and we'll put in a request to get a review copy of the game. If we don't get a review copy of the game, then that's okay. Then we'll buy the game on our own. But for the most part, it's personal preference, to be honest with you. Patrick will look at games that he wants to play, and he'll play them, and Motts will pick games that he wants to play, and he'll play them for review, and I'll do the same. I can say that personal preference-wise, though, I can say that Patrick definitely tends to lean towards strategy games, and Motts definitely leans towards shooters. I am kind of all over the place. I play everything, and I try to pick games that are off the beaten path. Just because they're kind of more, I don't want to say they're more fun, but I don't know, AAA games kind of get boring from time to time, and it's kind of nice to see people doing new and interesting things, and it feels good to actually shine some light on some lesser-known games and give some of these lesser-known publishers, hopefully a few extra bucks so they continue to make new or different games. Because if all of gaming was just Modern Warfares and Mass Effects, then it'd be a pretty boring atmosphere, if you ask me. Anyway, that kind of wraps everything up as far as like the user feedback. I did have one user feedback, but it actually kind of leads in today's hot topic, which, like I might have said earlier, I was hoping this hot topic would have died down, but the entire Mass Effect 3 debacle. Devstar Omega writes, what are your thoughts on developers like Capcom charging customers for DLC that are already on the disc, that was paid for, and it wasn't content that was created afterwards. He goes on and asks if it's gouging the customers. I don't know if it's gouging the customers. Does it feel dishonest to me? Absolutely. I hate it. But at the same time, it makes sense from a marketing standpoint. But that's kind of I guess that's the overall lesson of the story for right now, for this generation. Game developers are new to the DLC game. We've been doing expansion packs for a very, very long time, but expansion packs were much bigger and they took a longer time to produce, and then you actually had to have it printed on physical media, and then, packaging, and it had to be shipped to stores, etc., etc. But DLC is instantly done, and people can instantly buy it, and it's just cash right on hand for a lot of these developers. They're still not sure how the heck they want to market it and how the heck they can market it. I don't have any problem with them working on DLC during the time while they're making a game. In fact, that makes sense to me. Make the DLC for the game while you're working on the game. If you have this marketing strategy, I do think that it is highly insulting to actually release it, or at least have the information on the disc. And I do think that it's highly insulting to actually have that information and that DLC on release day. But it also depends on the DLC. If it's something simple like guns, or cars, or something unnecessary for the game, if it's something extra for the game, I don't mind that stuff being there on the first day. If it's I can get a golden bazooka on day one if I pay $5, I don't care, whatever. I can take that or leave that. But when it's stuff like the Mass Effect 3 debacle, where the Prothean storyline actually goes along with it, that seems a little dishonest to me. And developers need to find a sweet spot between release day and when their game is forgotten by the masses. Because let's be honest, we video gamers, we hardcore gamers have a very short attention span. We play a game, and then when the next AAA game comes out, we play the very next game. So game 1 comes out on the first day of the month, and then the next AAA game might come out 3 weeks afterwards, or a month afterwards, or heck, it might actually be that week or the following week. So publishers and developers don't want their game to be forgotten about by the time their DLC comes out, because otherwise that's time, energy, and resources just lost. I get it. They want to make back some money, and they also want to make some extra money, because everybody complains about how gaming has gone up, $10 this generation, but considering that video games have always been $50 and $60 since the days of, since I was a child, and I'm sure since before then. They've always been $50 and $60, so we've been lucky that the price of gaming hasn't gone up. But I think that developers need to find a sweet spot as to when the heck they're going to be releasing it. For the love of God, they need to not have it on the discs, because it's very insulting. I think what they need to do is they need to have the game ready to release, and they should say, hey, 3 weeks after this game, the first DLC is going to be coming out. Here's what it is. Here's a little trailer for the DLC. We're going to release it the day after the full game releases. So if you like the game so far, check it out. 3 weeks is all you got to wait for this extra bit of game. And then the next bit of DLC. 3 weeks after that, and then 3 weeks. And the reason why I think it should be 3 weeks is because 2 weeks is entirely too soon. 2 weeks just feels like you're stepping on toes. Chronologically, you think to yourself, 2 weeks? Come on, you mean to tell me that you made all of this content in 2 weeks and you hammered out all the bugs? Baloney. It seems too soon from the eyes of the video gamer. But at the same time, 4 weeks is too long, and it's too long in the eyes of both gamers and in the eyes of developers. Because we forget about them. We forget about these games. We move on. If it's the holiday season, it's even worse, because we'll switch over from Deus Ex to Assassin's Creed to whatever else games are happening to shower us all at that time. And we hardcore gamers feel the need to play every single one of them, and we don't pace ourselves. I mean, let's be honest. I don't think any of us out there say to ourselves, "Holy crap! There's 6 games coming out in the next 3 weeks. I'm only going to buy one of them, and then I'm going to just slowly buy the rest of them over the upcoming months while there are no releases coming out." We all go crazy. We either rent or buy all of them, and then we play all of them, and then we're bored for months on end, and we go back and we replay all of our older games. So anyway, my point is, I think the 3-week time slot is the sweet spot. BioWare just seems to be between a rock and a hard place at the moment. They have been caught basically red-handed because the Prothean character actually is on the disc, and they had been saying up until now that no, they haven't been developing it at the same time, but they've been caught red-handed today, or actually it might have been yesterday, when somebody released that the Prothean's code and all of his lines, all of his scripts and stuff are actually on the disc without buying any DLC. That's not to say that the From Ashes entire mission and arc line is there, but the character is. And again, that just seems dishonest to me. But people have actually been upset about Mass Effect 3 for another reason, aside from this whole Day 1 DLC issue. A lot of people have been really upset today over the ending to Mass Effect 3. And it's actually gotten so bad that 14,000 people, as of the time when I'm recording the audio for this, 14,000 people have signed a petition to either have an alternate ending available within Mass Effect or to have an alternate ending like done as a DLC for Mass Effect 3. And when you think about that, you think, wow, 14,000 people, that's a lot of people. But when you look at the sales numbers for Mass Effect 3, the sales numbers for Mass Effect 3 are actually 3.5 million as of Friday. 14,000 versus 3.5 million is nothing. The bigger issue that BioWare is actually facing at the moment is the fact that this petition is on the front page of pretty much every gaming site out there. This is what everybody is kind of talking about at the moment. And I can't say that Mass Effect or that BioWare is in the wrong here. I can't say that they are telling the story poorly. I personally am not playing Mass Effect at the moment. Mott's is actually playing Mass Effect for Elder Geek right now at the moment. I'm playing other games to review for the site. So I can't say whether or not that the game's ending sucks or if it's awesome. The way it's got to be boiled down to is it legitimately that bad? And feel free to comment, if you feel it's that bad, or is this actually a little bit of user bullying? I fully respect and I fully understand the need and the want and the importance of listening to your audience feedback, but at what point does that feedback become bullying against the developer? Again, I'm not coming to the defense of BioWare here. I'm not coming to the defense of any of the gamers. I'm just trying to point out all sides of this argument here. So that is the issue that BioWare is actually facing at the moment. They are looking at a very loud and unhappy user base, or should they just ignore everybody and then just say, hey, we sold 3.5 million copies, let's just move on and make our next game. I don't know what they should do. I personally think that they should address this issue one way or another. I think they should address the issue and not just a company letter. I think there should be something a little bit more substantial, because this all ties in so well with the DLC debacle as well. And because so many people were disappointed with Dragon Age 2. I'm sorry, but those two things, you cannot treat them as two separate issues. Here are two games developed by the same company that people have been growing to expect just absolutely stellar experiences from, and they seem to be falling short. Are they overstretching themselves? Probably. I would like BioWare to kind of go back to their roots a little bit, and I don't want to say cater to their older audience, but it would make me feel a little bit better. But anyway, that's it from me today. I've really got nothing much else to really say on the topic. I think everything that needs to be said has been said. You will be hearing from me again tomorrow about this show, and you will also be seeing tomorrow from me a review for Shoot Many Robots, an upcoming side-scrolling shooter from Ubisoft. Take care, everybody.